Welcome to Gut Tales. I'm Emma, and today we are going to talk about being a graduate student while you have IBD. However, this video pertains to you, even if you are an undergrad student, if you're a PhD student, it's all relevant. And so first of all, I want to say living with IBD is already tough enough, right? But then we add on the extra stress of school. For me personally, I am getting a Master of Science in Nutrition Science and Dietetics. I am on the registered dietitian track, which means that I have 3 rotations that I must complete in addition to my schooling. My first rotation was community nutrition, and I'm immunosuppressed, and my community rotation was at a wonderful nonprofit where we served food insecure individuals as well as individuals with homelessness. I'm immunosuppressed, so at first I wasn't quite sure how my immune system would react. My first week there, I got strep throat. For reference, I have my tonsils out, so it's actually quite difficult for somebody with their tonsils out to get strep throat. However, I managed to get it, probably because I'm immunosuppressed. But eventually my system kind of adjusted and I got more comfortable realizing, hey, though I'm immunosuppressed, I can do this. And I always had the option to wear a mask if I wanted. I do have a clinical rotation that I'm going to have to complete. And because I will be in a hospital environment, I am going to choose to wear an N95 mask just because it's a hospital, it's a medical setting, and I need to protect myself. Do I like wearing masks? Not necessarily. However, we as IBD patients have to do what we have to do. The rotation I'm at right now is food service management. It is fantastic. I love it. I'm around kiddos. And again, my immune system is able to handle most things. But I want to talk about anxiety of going to school. If you have to sit through a test, what happens if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the test? And this is why it is absolutely important that you communicate with your instructor and communicate with your school. So higher education universities have disability resource centers, or they have a center for accessible education, or, something similar to that manner. And so you can go to that office, and if you are in an all-out flare or you are in the danger of being in a flare and you're sick, it is better to have something in place than nothing at all. Because I can tell you, imagine if you cannot control your bowels, you have to show up to school to take an exam, and the exam is 3 hours. Hello, chemistry, organic chemistry. Like, we all know those exams are really long. I think the longest exam I had was probably 3 hours. And that was a chemistry exam, but it's already stressful. And so the last thing that we want to do is being stressed out of how am I going to be able to go to the bathroom if I am in the middle of this exam. And so there are certain accommodations that can be made for you. I know many professors do not allow students to go to the bathroom, or if you are in an online class, it is forbidden for you to get up from your computer to go to the bathroom because they don't know if you're looking at your notes. However, if you have IBD, there are certain measures that can be put in place, because I'm telling you, if you have those measures in place, it will reduce your anxiety dramatically, especially if you're flaring. Another thing is, I can't stress the communication piece enough. Many professors are willing to work with you, but you have to let them know where you are, and they won't know unless you tell them. And so there have been plenty of times that I have powered through my graduate assignments and saying, no, I can do it. I know I can do it. And then I will put so much on my plate where I will literally wear myself out and still complete the assignment. But my professor would say, hey, Emma, why are you so tired? Why didn't you just communicate with me? I had no idea you had all of this going on. However, I am an older graduate student, and I'm used to just kind of powering through things. I've had IBD since 2006. And so just because that's what I'm used to, I'm not saying that is the right way to do it. It makes things much harder and my anxiety is much higher. But, help yourself if you are truly flaring. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But the best thing that I can stress is just take it one day at a time and be gentle with yourself. We are so critical of ourselves, and it is so difficult just to deal with a chronic disease. And then you're adding on the stress of school and academics and having to do well. And it can be a lot. And sometimes we can feel alone, especially if we're sick. And so I can't stress journaling enough. I know it may sound a little cheesy, like, oh, I don't want to write in a journal. But honestly, when you get all those negative emotions out and you put them on paper, it really does help you sort through your feelings and thoughts instead of them kind of like floating around in space. And it's very helpful. And so just take it one day at a time, communicate with your professor, communicate with your doctor, let them know that you are in school. I know for me personally, my graduate school journey has been very, very rewarding, but also very exhausting, and pretty stressful. I decided a little later in life that I wanted to go back to school to be a registered dietitian. I really want to be an IBD specific registered dietitian, and that's what I'm on track to do. I'm very interested in IBD nutrition research, and that's another thing that I'm involved with, and I love doing that. But I have two children. It's one of my daughter is homeschooling, and that's new. She was not. She was Our plan was not for her to homeschool, but the traditional public school model for her didn't work. For my son, he thrives in public school. My daughter, however, she needed a different learning style, and so I officially started my second year of grad school in August, and 3 weeks later, my daughter had to get pulled out of school just because, again, the public school model didn't really help her much. And so here I am, I'm doing my dietetic rotation. I am in formal classes, and then all of a sudden my daughter is home. And I have to figure out a homeschool plan, and I wasn't expecting it. And I was like, okay, I have to figure out a plan of how to get through this. And so I communicated with my school, let them know everything that was going on. I was able to shift, my formal classes to next year. So I let my school know. I was able to shift these two classes this semester. I will just end up taking next fall. And so my graduation got delayed a total of 6 months. But you know what? It is what it is. What are you going to do? And so at first I was like, tightly wound up. I was like, no, I was scheduled to graduate in August of 2025, and now I'm not going to graduate until December 2025. But then I stopped. I took a deep breath, and I realized, hey, this is life. Life isn't perfect. It's okay, and obviously for me, family first. And it is what it is. But honestly, like if I think too far ahead and I'm like, how am I going to complete my clinical rotation, having a homeschooling daughter, how is that going to help? What am I going to do? I just stop and say, take it one day at a time. And so living with IBD, again, like I said, like a million times, it is hard enough. But if we take it one day at a time and we communicate with our school and let them know what's going on with them, and if we are very sick or we feel like we need a special accommodation, like i.e. being able to go to the bathroom during exam times, then there are disability resource centers, there are centers for accessible education or something, something around that lines at your university. But my whole point is you don't have to suffer alone. Yes, you are going to be tired. Yes, there are times you are going to be exhausted. There are going to be times that you aren't going to want to study or you feel too tired to study, but just power through and remember your end goal. And you can do it. And remember, no matter what is happening in your life, keep moving forward, because even if you can only take one class at a time, even if a 2-year graduate program takes you 3 years to complete, whatever it may be, if a 4-year undergrad takes you 5 years to complete, 6 years to complete, whatever, what matters is that even if you take one class, that is still slowly moving you forward. And that's okay. So be kind with yourself. Do not compare yourself with your peers. None of that. Life is too short for that mess. And you know what? Like, it's all right, because you'll get there eventually. It's all right to take more time, because you will get there eventually. Do not feel embarrassed about communicating with your professors or your school, because you know what? You have IBD. Compared to healthy cohorts, it's pretty tough. So remember, friends, no matter what, keep moving forward. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please leave them below. I love reading your comments. I love interacting with you all, and I wish you well.